Hello, darling. Welcome home to Eden. This is Eve Christoph, your Love Life Muse. Stick with me for the hottest news and we will get somewhere new, honey. So today I want to just talk about masculine and feminine biorhythms, physical energy, and how we can help to nourish each other's health along the way when our energies work really differently. Even if on a soul level you are both equally masculine and feminine balanced, still you're in a physical body and you're going to be affected by the fact that in intimacy, for example, a man might expend a lot more physical energy than a woman who might feel like she's receiving a whole lot. So if you think about how this dynamic can happen, the woman, this epic time happens, and then the woman wakes up all energized, and the guy's like ragged, he can't even talk, he's barely walking. It can happen to the woman too. Then she's like, whoa, he fucked my brains out. Sorry, I swore. But if you think of masculine energy being really good at sprinting, right? Like they go really, really fast, and then bam, he's out for the count. And the woman's energy has this more longer longevity that kind of just keeps going and is not so good at sprinting, except for some of those amazing athlete women. But in general, if you think about the daily facts, and then but one of the things that we have to be careful of is when we start competing with each other over, well, I did this and you didn't do that, and so I'm the one who really should be tired because I was expending all this energy for you and then you just received. And we have to really be careful because for example, so a man might put out an enormous amount of energy for a woman and it's epically beautiful, and then it's very natural for him to need to shut down for a while, tune out, go within, go off onto his work adventure, and the woman will feel really hurt, like, you just brought me into this epic place and now you don't even love me because, or he'll feel like he's not allowed to have that kind of space to himself that's actually really necessary, and he'll do something like cutting off from her, like blocking or like disappearing, and I just need space, and he'll make it really scary, like he's not coming back. And really all he needs to do is say, this is the space I need and this is when I'm coming back, and then the woman can much more easily leave him alone. But then it can happen where in the giving, that one or the other person will be like, I'm the one that gave, and they kind of won't see the way the other person was giving. And some good examples of that are like, some of the things women deal with are like, okay, say she's shaving to make him happy, she's saving her pussy, and she is uncomfortable like all day, like every day of her life. And it's kind of a discomfort that also stimulates her, and she's decided, the benefits of it, I'm gonna do this thing. And a guy would never in his life put up with that kind of pain, discomfort, but she's willing to get used to it because there's this longevity factor in the feminine ability that is really interesting, that they say, don't start asking women to take on more pain just because they're good at handling pain, yet there's something going on that's really different for women. That's why the birth control pill, it comes out, has tons of side effects. The birth control pill for men, the men won't do it. I don't like the side effects, but the women do it and deal with many side effects. You have this woman, she's got birth control side effects, she's got shaving side effects, she's got UTI maybe also she's dealing with from being intimate. That often happens for women. It's really painful, ongoing. Then she's taking antibiotics. They're really painful. Maybe the woman is like giving up her time with her family to go be with the man, and she's giving up her financial abundance at the same time because she's going to be in his world where his life continues with great consistency, and hers is uprooted. And he's like, yeah, but I'm posting you, you're in my space, I'm taking care of you this whole time. So, and I even paid the gas fee to come, or the airfare, and then in the competition for who gives what more, what we lose sight of is that men and women are giving really different things in really different ways. And even if the masculine or the whichever person in the relationship is the one who has the yang energy that ravishes, or the other is more receptive, that one who ravishes will be like, oh, I'm the giver, I'm the one who should be given back to now. And they're not seeing that the energy it takes for the receptive one. If you're in a gay relationship, the men will often talk about there's the top and the bottom in the relationship. Whoever's the receptive one has to open up their whole being to receive. And there's enormous work in that. There's enormous surrender in that, vulnerability, and also physical diseases. I don't want to call them diseases, but imbalances that receptive one is going to probably end up dealing with. There are emotional ramifications of opening up to receive somebody, let them into your body. It has a kind of an emotional ramification that makes everything else that the yang person does, where they're like, now I need space, now I need you to go home because I'm tired, or now I need you to give back to me, those things will hurt so bad because the feminine one, the receptive one, has become so permeable in their receptivity that now the arrows are hurt more than ever and throw them off center and shake them to their core, when the one who's in the yang quality is just like, I'm just directing the show, I'm just showing what has to happen, I'm just pointing out the obvious fact that I'm the giver and you should be giving more. And so what can we do when we come together and we believe ourselves to be these yin yang beings that are not binary, and that is the core spiritual truth, and yet we are deeply not just affected, but we're kind of within the cage of our physicality. Like, we actually have these weird limits put on us. Here's a good example. I had a client a while back. Some of you know I do shamanic work. I do divination readings. I do healing, massage, and all these things. And there's one of the treatments I give it's called aggressive energy removal. That's when you've been through enormous trauma as a child, and there's this energetic violence still on your energy body, and it's not your violent energy, it came at you from somebody else, from the world, and some event that you went through, and needs to be taken out of your system. So a lot of gay people, queer people, are receiving such enormous hate energy in the world, in all their beauty and innocence, might end up in a situation of violence, or just emotional torture, where they are really traumatized. So this particular client came to me with that situation, and he was in the process, they were in the process of becoming feminine, right, with hormones. And his hormone therapy was going really well. And one of the things he told me was that, Eve, when I was a young boy, my father was so over the top violent, and he beat us so much, he said, that it's just in my system all the time. And he hated emotions, and he hated any signs of weakness and all this crap. And he said, but his testosterone level was so high, he would just come in the house and just want to start breaking things. And he said, at a certain point, I got to the place where I saw my own violence level increasing, he said, as I became a young man and my hormones started coming in and my testosterone level started raising. I started, he said, just getting just as violent as my dad and having those same kind of hateful fits. And he said, and it was the worst thing in the world. I said, I wanted to commit suicide. I did not want to be allowed anything not to be him, right? He said, but so that's when he started this therapy hormone therapy and whatever else he was going to do, they were going to do to become a woman. And then what he told me was so interesting. He said, when I started taking the feminine hormones, he said, my whole being started to drop into my heart. My whole being started to calm down. And all of the ricocheting of the testosterone that was overwhelming me so that all I could do was think thoughts and act on actions to react to my ego